Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Raw Dogs. This is your host, Mad Dog B-Rad. And who's that in the chair across from me?
I don't have a nickname prepared.
You've been really Big Tex the last four episodes. I gave you a layup.
Big Tex. Well, now I'm Big Tex.
Also known as Dylan.
Yes, well, or you can call me Big Tex. My friends call me Tex.
Dylan, how is Big Tex doing today?
Very tired. I woke up at 1 and I'm still tired. Made lasagna.
Well, that's good.
Congrats.
It was delicious.
Congratulations.
Hey, Brad. Hey, Big Tex. This is Tom.
We're friends. Call me Tex.
Y'all know Tom. He's on here half the time.
I'm here. We're all dog casters.
Well, we're Raw Dogs. We do deep dives, discuss topics a little more in depth. And we like to have some fantastic guests on, and Tom, but
burn!
But for our special guest we have for this episode, it's our good friend Stoy.
Hello.
Hey, Stoy, how are you doing?
Stoy?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
We are happy to have you. You have your own podcast.
Yeah, we're called the EXPcast. We do weekly podcast episodes. We release them every Monday morning, and it's just kind of an informal, just talking about video games and video game topics or whatever. So
new releases, stuff like that.
Yeah, we talk about the games we've been playing. We got one guy, Pat, is on our podcast. He's the guru. He plays just all the time. So he's got like 5 games that he talks about every week, and it's like,
there's one in every crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And right now, like the last couple months, he's just been on a Yakuza kick. Mm-hmm. So every week he talks about a different Yakuza game that has been re-released, remastered, or reimagined, or just there's so many Yakuza
so he's just
games.
Like knocking them down.
Yeah,
just going through them.
What are you playing right now?
Right now, I actually just refired up Final Fantasy 15. I got this weird itch to play again. And
sure.
I realized that it's been a year and a half since I last played it, and there was a massive like 20, 30 gig update. So it's like, all right, I guess I got to wait a couple hours before this fully downloads. But I never went back to play the character episodes. If you guys played 15,
the DLC good ones.
Yeah, I paid like the extra money for it, so I got the really nice steel case. So I was like, maybe I should get back into that. And,
so are you playing it now after they patched in like half the story?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time you played it was without
all those
like
patches,
the early access version.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the story still technically doesn't exist.
Yeah, what was it? That one sequence where like it's a corridor-based game or something like that. Where like you're escaping the prison.
Are you talking Promptos, where you're actually handling like guns in a third-person shooter?
No, that's his character story. But I think it takes place during the same time in the game.
Oh.
Did you guys know that we're doing Final Fantasy month next month?
Yes, we are.
Okay, fine. We can talk about other things.
That is true.
We'll talk about it later.
We can talk about it later.
It's just like a little amuse-bouche.
Yeah, I heard they did patch a lot of it, and that's probably what that 20 gig update was. But
speaking of storytelling games,
I love storytelling games.
Yeah, well, I know you do. This was your suggestion, this topic for this episode.
Well, initially I wanted to talk about Mass Effect, but then like our conversations spiraled out into just talking about BioWare in general because I'm a guy that loves story in games, and I think BioWare, even some may say not anymore, but I still think to this day they're still some of the greatest storytellers out there in video games right now.
We got Anthem and Andromeda as some recent ones, but
they were.
Dragon Age Inquisition was amazing.
Good.
Yeah,
I mean that was 2014 though.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But that was the third most recent, right?
Yeah, because after that they worked on Andromeda.
Yeah,
and some people say after Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood that they peaked and they would never be able to reach another game as good as The Dark Brotherhood.
I could see where people think that.
Yeah,
yeah,
very good.
As I was thinking back about BioWare and my collection, I have a lot of BioWare games.
You have most of them.
And then I thought, like, God, when was the last time I actually played a BioWare game? I'm like, holy shit, it has been like 6 years.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Inquisition is probably the last one that I played, you know. So,
in case you guys haven't noticed, I have the Dragon Age Inquisition tattoo on my arm, as well as the the Spectre symbol on my arm too. So, yeah, those games are very near and dear.
Of Darkwatch,
right? Yeah.
Hey, you're in front of a Spectre, boys. So just thought I'd let you know.
All right.
Mind
the P's and Q's.
Yeah.
And I'm the Pathfinder.
Great.
So BioWare.
I'll be an Elcor. Starting at the beginning. Subtle beard grab.
Being enthusiastic for the podcast. Welcome to the Dogcast.
The Elcor.
Yeah, so you suggested BioWare RPGs, and I immediately, I know Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and KOTOR, and Jade Empire, but I wasn't familiar with the early stuff, so I was pleased to learn kind of where they started. CRPGs, right? That's what they would want us to call them?
Yeah, kind of with an isometric view, nearly top down, but with more 3D elements.
Yeah, I think when you think of CRPGs in like the modern context, for me, it's Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
The Infinity Engine games. That's what I think about.
Canadian RPG. That's what CRPG stands for.
Yes. I think it was Chinchilla at once before.
Chinchilla
RPGs. Yeah.
I'm glad it's not anymore.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, BioWare was founded by two doctors, which I thought was kind of cool. They actually finished medical school.
Yeah.
They developed some applications for teaching students about the human body, and they're like, let's just go ahead and up our game a little bit, no pun intended. The nice thing about being doctors is they have a lot of money. So they were able to fund...
Even in Canada?
I guess I don't know how it works over there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they get a lot of their schooling paid for.
Right.
So being a doctor is not nearly as hard as it is here. So
yeah.
It's interesting, though, that the first game they made wasn't an RPG.
It was not.
They pooled their resources, and they made Shattered Steel. Now, I've never played Shattered Steel.
I played a ROM of it. Not a ROM. I played the goddamn game.
You really? Yeah.
It was fine.
On an emulator?
I remember when it came out, I was aware of it. But if you want me to never play your game, make it a mech game.
You don't like mechs?
I do not.
You don't have the power fantasy of getting in a giant robot and killing things?
Not really. I mean, yeah, I do, but just a computer mech game.
I liked Mech Assault enough back in the day. I bought Steel Battalion like an idiot.
I was going to say, did you buy the whole setup Steel Battalion?
I did. I had the thing, and then I played it maybe 5 times. I'm like, this is way too complicated.
Yeah, it takes up my whole living room.
Well, like
just setting up, I need to put a card table in my bedroom.
Getting into that is like getting into an MMO.
It really is, yeah.
Like, figure it out. Go ahead.
That game had permadeath. I remember that was... Jeez.
Steel Battalion was unforgiving for sure.
Yeah, it really was.
I'm excited for Midwest Gaming Classic because they do have Steel Battalion controllers set up and linked up. So if you want to have 16 people not know what they're fucking doing on one game at the same time, there you go.
Absolutely.
Shattered Steel, though, these guys just kind of got together, made this game, and then no prior experience. They pitched it to 10 publishers and got 7 different offers, which I think is pretty powerful.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
The game looks good.
It looks solid from what I saw.
Watching video of it.
Yeah.
For 1996, it looked actually really good.
And Shattered Steel was fine. They went with Interplay. It was a good game, but I think they kind of shook the ground a little bit with their next game that they released. Tom, what was that?
The next game, Brad, would be the seminal Baldur's Gate in 1998.
Who is Baldur?
I don't know. He's a god or something. I don't know.
From
Some Dungeons and Dragons stuff?
No, it's from Norse mythology. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain that.
Did you going to say, was he the son of Odin or something like that?
He was in God of War. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And he had a gate, and they made a game about it.
Yes.
Well, they got the licensure for Dungeons and Dragons for this specific game.
Interplay got it for him, right?
Yeah.
Because they were going to pitch it as something else. What was it? Battleground Infinity?
Yeah.
Which sounds like a Battle Royale game today or something.
Well, this actually uses the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rulebook.
Which is awesome.
Which is pretty good considering like the execution of it ended up so well. Like it is pretty much one of the best versions of that game. The only one I think really beats it though is either Pillars of Eternity or Divinity. Original Sin.
Yeah.
It wasn't
for
bad.
What it at the time.
Are
you kidding me?
Shit ton of hype for this game.
Yeah.
I think I was a day one or as day one as I could get for a PC game back then.
I don't know if I've ever played it. Stoy, did you play this game?
I didn't get to the first Baldur's Gate. I only got to the second and third one when they got released on the consoles. I wasn't really into PC in this time frame. I mean, I had a PC and I think I was playing like just Oregon Trail on these games on these PCs at the time, but
Great game.
yeah, I know. I played the updated version with all the full motion videos and everything. So yeah, it was pretty solid. But I didn't get to Baldur's Gate until like the later ones because those were easier RPGs for me to get into. It was like a kid with short attention span, so I wanted to play like action games.
No,
so,
I get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely understand. I only played Balderdash. Yes. I should have done my vocal exercises before I started.
This elocution, big text.
Elocution. Hello, what now?
It's electrocution, you idiot.
She sells seashells by the seashore. That's right.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption. Thank you.
Now back
All
to
right,
our
now I'm ready
previously
to go.
scheduled podcast.
Exactly. I only played Baldur's Gate.
Put a quarter in the jar, motherfucker.
I'm not going to edit that out. I'm going to play it twice.
No,
you have
that's
to keep
absolutely fine. You have to. I only played that one because apparently I can't pronounce it. No, but it's pretty good, especially on the Switch. I've been playing the Switch port. It's very nice. It actually holds up very well. A lot of soft lock mechanisms.
Because I imagine a game like an isometric RPG, you'd want to have a mouse, though. It seems
this one's very fluid.
Yeah?
It works very well. They really fine-tuned a lot of the cursor aspects.
That's good.
A lot of it is automatic, too, because if you walk next to something, it will soft highlight, like I was saying. So you'll move next to something, and you can, like, each subtle movement will create a different lock.
I'm sure they've added a bunch of quality of life improvements since the day. Because I remember the one thing that I remember the most from that game is the pathfinding with your party members was not great. So,
but when you follow you like a flock of seagulls now.
Okay.
It's really good.
What was wrong with it before?
They would just get lost in the environment. And you couldn't, when you get into a battle or you go to a town and you want to go to the big map screen or just move to another environment, you had to have all the party members with you.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, the narrator, disembodied voice would come in and say, like, you must group your party together before you can leave the environment. And it would just constantly hear this fucking voice of God, you must gather your group before venturing forth.
I was watching a Mass Effect Andromeda, like what happened or something, and one of the party members just walks away.
You got the right idea.
Maybe that was good AI.
Right.
I'm not sure. Was it only isometric Baldur's Gate, or was there like a close third-person one that they
No. It was all sprites.
It's the same with Neverwinter. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Neverwinter was polygonal. That's when they went to 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looked really bad.
It was basic.
It was.
Yeah.
It was like, we'll talk about it.
Right.
But
Gotta love those sprite illustrations from Baldur's 1 and 2, though. They look great.
Like the character portraits?
Yeah.
Man, so good. Minsk and Boo.
Very easy to read the screen, considering how many polygons and sprites they were working with at the time.
Dude, you know what's great about games back then? It's a small group of guys. In a short amount of time, they can make 100+ hour game for 6 players with like every story facet. You have to like pick your battles these days. You can't just do whatever you want with like 7 guys.
No.
Over 100 hours, it says up to 6 players could like play together.
Yeah. And you figure the doctors are still working and practicing medicine at the time.
You're getting like kidney surgery, and he's just like mages, clerics.
You know what? I would trust them more than a regular doctor. I think most doctors are sociopaths. So
Hot take from
I work
Dylan.
with doctors, and I agree with you.
thank you.
They are
Wow, okay,
sociopaths.
this is cool.
Yeah.
I have someone who's agreeing
Sociopaths and
with me.
masochists, and oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah! Finally, someone who agrees with me.
Deviants, all of them.
Hell yeah! I appreciate it.
No problem.
I think it's important to note too that they used the Infinity engine. They were like back then using their own engines, which is something like that were catered to their needs a little bit.
Yeah.
Hint for a later topic.
Yeah.
I imagine.
The fall of Bioware.
Yeah.
Maybe nothing bad will happen.
You don't know. Anyways, I really enjoyed this game when it came out. I mean, it was a hit. It was a big hit.
I remember seeing people play it when I go to friends' houses, and my small child brain, this came out 1998, so I guess I was 10 years old, but there was a lot going on that screen.
Yeah.
It's too much
was,
to
yeah.
even. I even thought like Final Fantasy 6/3 was too complicated for my
Sure.
idiot little brain.
This was a great year for games. I remember this came out like around Christmas time. I know there was snow on the ground, but I think
December 21st.
Yeah, so I was
Tom
playing.
barely remembers. He was just inside the family computer room.
That's yes, I was on my third wife. Yeah,
Wouldn't let the kids
it
play.
was great. I remember I had to put off playing Baldur's Gate because I think I was playing Thief: The Dark Project at the time, and I just fell in love with that game.
Big box PC games.
Oh man, yeah, I went through a phase. That big box,
Thief Dark Project, very good.
such a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have big thoughts on the original Baldur's Gate? I guess I've never played it.
Get it for the Switch when it goes on sale. I think you
let
would
it
like it. You just have to be in the right mood because it is literally taking a step back in time, and that can be a problem.
Yeah.
If you want to play something like it, for anyone who's listening, if you want to play something like it, that's not it. It's Divinity Original Sin 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic game. I've played that one through twice. Once on easy, once on hard. Every single time I've been entertained. So
Yeah, you figured that engine defined Interplay a lot
Yes.
of their games through until pretty much Interplay went out of business.
Right, yeah.
So Planescape Torments, your Icewind Dales.
Well, I think pardon the pun, it was a kind of like it paved the way, like a Pathfinder, to a lot of other games that kind of copied the same formula.
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Games that kind of followed Dungeons and Dragon rule sets were kind of outdated at that point, and they really brought like a fresh, hot take on it. Yeah, there were a lot of copycats afterwards, and I think that you still feel its reverberations today in games, big time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With Pillars of Eternity and Divinity.
Exactly.
All throwbacks.
Yep.
They did do something odd for their next game, though.
Yeah, this was always weird. MDK2.
What does MDK stand for?
Well, apparently BioWare had their own definition of what it stood for.
Because I saw two different things.
Yeah, so, I mean, come on, it's Murder, Death, Kill,
Well, yeah.
Demolition Man, right?
Yeah, Demolition Man.
Yeah. But what did
I
say?
also saw it could mean Max, Doc, Kurt, the name of the three characters.
Yeah.
Third-person action-adventure game. This is a little odd.
It is.
Wild. I only saw videos of this. Obviously, this is a hard video game to find and even have access to any degree. The licensure is gone.
Sure.
No one wants to sell this, which shows you how much faith they had in it when it first came out. But the stuff I saw, like the HUD screen,
Yeah.
it made me want to vomit. It was pretty bad.
I got this game. I think I still have it, but it came with a video card that I bought back in the day. I never played it. I know MDK was originally, I think, a shiny game. When I heard BioWare was doing MDK2, I'm like, why? But
Who knows why anyone does anything?
yeah, like I said, I never played it. I mean, they came out with the Dreamcast version.
Yeah, they made
and-
some remastered versions of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It looked
look
alright.
terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's got like a sense of humor.
the game
Wait, what year was that again?
that came out March 31st, 2000.
Okay. That did look good for its time then.
The characters all play differently, which is kind of exciting. The main character is Kurt Hectic. Cool name.
Way cool.
He's a janitor that wears the coil suit, which is both a weapon and an alternative to classy evening wear, is what it says in the description.
All right.
It was made by Dr. Fluke Hawkins, who you also play as, who is a scientist who invented the suit. But more importantly is Max, the robotic dog with 2 legs and 4 arms, so he can wield 4 guns at the same time.
Very cool.
He was like not a great character initially when they made
And
him.
he smokes a cigar.
He smokes a cigar. Well, he downloaded an action hero personality, like watched some Bruce Willis movies and downloaded them. And that's what gave him like that badass personality, which was fun. Can drive a vehicle and shoot 2 guns at the same time, which I kind of like the thought of someone holding a steering wheel and shooting 2 guns.
Damn, now I want to play it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
We should find it, stream it. That'd be great.
I never played it. I thought the same thing too at the time. I think I saw a friend of mine play it, and I was like, it
Really?
just looks kind of. It looked a little rough.
That's a good pun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Max
Hey.
the dog. Yeah. With the arms.
Nice.
Yeah.
Third-person action-adventure game. I don't know what they were thinking, why they wanted to jump over that. Maybe just to test themselves.
I think at the time that was the advent of the PlayStation 2, Xbox era, and third-person action shooter games were like hot at that time. I just remember like games like Oni and Dead to Rights and stuff like that coming out.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank,
that was
Max
around
Payne.
that time.
Yeah.
So I think they were just kind of cashing in on that.
Could be.
Like,
and I don't know if BioWare like willingly wanted to do this themselves, or if this was a property that was pushed on them by Electronic
Interplay,
Arts,
maybe?
or Interplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. They were just like, hey, we got a cash grab here. We got to get in while it's hot and just make this game.
This is more console friendly in nature. This one's kind of like more geared to be with thumbsticks, but I don't think that they made their own games for consoles until KOTOR, if I'm correct. Otherwise, ports were done, I think, out of house.
Yeah.
As they usually are.
Right, until EA shows up and says, you have to make them all at the same time. You have 1 year.
Very good.
Yeah,
very effective.
They made this, and they're like, all right, let's go back, check something else out. To Baldur's Gate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because they released this in the same year, right?
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 2?
They must have been working on them side by side because Baldur's Gate 2 came out September 21st, 2000.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll say this. There aren't many improvements from 1 to 2 in Baldur's Gate, but at least it was a new story. It almost feels like an expansion.
Something.
Yeah, really.
That's always the vibe I got from it.
It is a lot better. The storytelling, the way that you can interact with people, more decisions to make.
Yeah.
So
something that they do that I really respect, though, is when they make a game, they'll go and look through all the forums and get all the feedback they can. They put it into a spreadsheet and they make it into this is what mostly is talked about, then this, then this, and this. And they'll try and address every legitimate piece of feedback, which they did with Mass Effect as well. I think that they probably wanted to with Dragon Age a bit with some of the gameplay with the battle system between 1 and 2, but they didn't have as much time. But I think that it's great that they
didn't have any time.
They're speaking, at least listening to the fans, which is really smart, which I don't think is
incredibly
given as much credence
rare
anymore. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because at this time, BioWare is still a scrappy little, studio.
Trying to make its name.
Yeah.
And they weren't rock stars like the guys at id Software, so they didn't have like that devil may care attitude.
They're just doctors.
They were just
We like Dungeons
doctors
We
here.
like Dungeons and Dragons.
I saw a few interviews where they were like, I was nervous to tell my mother how I wanted to make video games.
And that
Oh, yeah.
I was like, hey, sorry, Mom, but I gotta tell you
sorry,
something.
Mom.
Real good, then. Real good, then.
to all our listeners in Canada, we love you.
I do. I love the way you say things.
Yeah.
Jamie, if you
guys
are
are so
listening,
nice
we're
up
good
there.
friends with Jamie. You can vouch for us.
It's perfect.
Shadows of Amun.
Yep.
This is where I started
No
playing
clue.
Baldur's Gate. So
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember a lot. I just, to Dylan / Big Texas point here,
this.
it did feel like an expansion. It wasn't, they cleaned up a few graphical things. And like you said, some of the quests were a little bit more in depth and more choice. But
More of the sprite work, frame rate.
Yeah. I remember it was a smoother experience for sure.
Yeah. I can't say it enough. Get the Switch version because I'm having a blast. I'm getting through it one chug at a time, but
That's great.
Because this says that it had about 200 hours of gameplay too, which
it's ludicrous.
that's
that's
bonkers.
wild.
Big game.
Jeez.
Yeah.
a lot
Persona
of it is
5, my dick.
there's no fast travel though, so you're basically just
Oh yeah,
walking
If
around.
Skyrim didn't have fast travel, I'd probably still be playing the main quest.
Yeah.
No kidding. Thank God for that.
I would have quit that game years
Yeah, I
ago.
probably would
Thanks,
have
Todd,
if it didn't
for-
have fast travel.
Hashtag thanks, Todd.
Respect time. I
Yeah.
swear to God.
They did have a bit of a crunch phase, it says, in July when they were working on it back in 2000, where they would do like 12-hour days, which
That's
doesn't sound that bad compared to what people are doing these days. But
For as
Oh,
big
yeah.
as the game as it was, they turned it around pretty quick.
yeah, it's
Especially
nice.
if they're doing MDK2 or,
Meanwhile,
Yeah, I can't imagine
Meanwhile-
like developing 2 games at the same time is an easy task.
especially for a smaller team back then.
Yeah.
It's nice when you have those assets you can fall back on, though.
well, it's still a problem they had later as well.
yeah.
Yeah, which
Well,
spoiler
eventually they
alert.
turned into 20 studios.
Well,
Yeah,
never.
right.
I always say never really split your team unless you're Nintendo and everyone is just insanely talented and just let them do
Well,
their
'cause
own thing.
Nintendo can get the talent.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
For whenever BioWare was steering the ship, though, they were putting out quality products. They
Yeah.
were changing the game every time.
Yes.
It wasn't until there was outside interference that things started to waver a little bit.
Yeah. And as big as the first Baldur's Gate was, I mean, Baldur's Gate 2 was even bigger. So
Yeah, for sure. I like the fact that, I mean, they had like dialogue options almost and gave you like choices.
Oh, yeah.
I think in a lot of like instances where you could like pave the way of like being like good or
Yep.
being like the bad guy, being evil.
Absolutely.
You know, which was kind of groundbreaking at the time.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Could you bone characters?
I don't think so.
You could romance
Really?
too.
Oh, okay.
It was
If it's
so
in a game,
basic.
Dylan will find it.
Okay, right. If there's an option to bone, you will do it.
He's like the Mr. Skin of
Yeah, I'm the
Fair
Mr.
enough.
Skin of
CRPGs.
No, it's they had those memes that they have now of like the D&D characteristics like chaotic neutral.
Oh yeah,
and
the
all
big
that
the
stuff.
big Venn diagram or whatever.
Well, they use that in this, and your character is literally just straight out of your imagination, but you just have to follow some exact rules. Like if you're a druid, you have to be like lawful good or lawful neutral.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes from there.
It's something that you can see them wanting to pursue way back then even. That every game they're trying to more fine-tune ways to have
Except
your
it wasn't
decisions.
just good guy, bad guy.
Right. And they
scars and no scars.
Yeah, and they wanted to keep it to the D&D kind of skeleton of a campaign, where you make those choices.
And when you try and scale it up to a big world, though, as they found out with Mass Effect Andromeda, have No Man's Sky with dialogue choices and all that. You can't have emergent gameplay. You have to really try and just choose what you can accomplish when you have voice acting and
Craft and experience.
yes,
Yeah.
voice acting definitely pigeonholes
because the moment they take that out of a big new release, you just
I don't know, guys. I've been playing Forza Horizon 4, and they know my name because I typed it in.
Isn't it? It's crazy.
It says big text.
Yeah, it says big text. And then sometimes it calls me Dylan, and I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
It's big text. Get it right.
Yep. She would call me Tom.
She would call you Tom, too?
yeah. Every
Have
once
you
in a
been
while.
playing Forza Horizon 4?
I did when it came out.
Oh, we can't talk about it now.
Oh.
We'll talk about it after. We're talking about
spoiler
Bioware.
alert! I haven't played Forza 3 yet. I mean, and we're all early adopters of the Stadia. Are we excited for Baldur's Gate 3?
Oh man, I am.
I'm excited to play it when it's not on Stadia.
Well, is it exclusive? Stadia
No, it's
first?
not.
No, but they're touting it as being.
But I think it's like initially exclusive, like for the beta. I thought the beta was exclusive to Stadia.
That's
And I
fine.
think they just announced
I think-
that
Yeah.
early access is going to start this year.
I'll tell you one
Or
thing.
soon.
I'll tell you one thing. Not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of backroom deals between now and then. That are going to basically be like, the Stadia isn't working. We can't test on this. We have to move it to somewhere else. And Stadia is going to be like, oh, okay.
Stadia's like,
fine.
well, we have another phone that can use it now.
Okay.
Guys, I'm flying to Google tomorrow. I'll go ahead and ask them.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They're trying to buy the Dogcast for millions of dollars.
Baldur's Gate 3 being developed by the Divinity developers. Laureate?
Yeah.
Was
And
it-
that's
what is it? Laureate?
no, yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
And perfect hands.
Perfect.
For it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Couldn't be a better studio.
Probably not.
It's probably going to be their best game
more
too.
perfect.
Because I think, well, obviously, like all of these guys love that game. It oozes that, but
That's why they made Divinity.
they improved it by like 20 times, though. Like,
still
Divinity
haven't played
Original
it.
Sin 2.
Yeah.
Oh, what a game!
Yeah.
One of the truest RPG experiences I've ever played in my life because every decision felt like I was doing something.
Yeah. With 3 on the horizon here, I'm like, man, I kind of want to start dabbling into Divinity because I heard the Switch port's good, but now I'm like, well, I don't.
Wait, there was a switchboard of Divinity?
Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Really?
And it looks pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I
All
heard
right.
it's really
I
good.
know I
It's
had
got
it
great
for the
reviews.
PC, and I thought it looked. I mean, it was amazing when I played it there.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know they brought it for the Switch.
All right. Well, what did they make right after that?
They decided to mix it up and make another RPG.
What do you
Yeah,
know?
it's something totally different.
Zing.
Yes.
Neverwinter Nights. It was a game set in the summer.
It was.
During the day.
Also for the Switch, by the way.
Developed for the Switch in 2002.
Very forward thinking.
Yeah, Interplay went bankrupt at this point, so they were unsure about the licensing if they'd be able to like keep using the D&D license for a while. But this one was published by Infogames.
Graham's, yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I mispronounced
Infogrames.
it all the time.
Yeah.
we're
it's
all
easy.
called Infogrames. It is Infogrames. I thought I had a fucking typo in
Yeah,
my
it's
notes
like
here.
Infogrames.
Infogram.
I don't know.
Gram.
Nearly 5 years in development. This came out June 18th, 2002.
Yeah.
And it was an RPG,
It was
a CRPG.
it was a tool set that had an RPG in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was basically made for people to create their own, basically to be their own dungeon masters and create scenarios and campaigns to share with people. But
Yeah.
it did come with they said I read the box, like a 70-hour RPG. I played through it to the end. I don't remember much of it. It was pretty forgettable. But it was the first time that they took things into 3D as well, so everything was polygonal and multiplayer.
Up to 64
Exactly.
players.
Yeah, which is wild at the time.
Yep.
It's that, but also the people who love this game love this game.
There's still people working on it and like modding it and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, the toolkit is still like, it's still highly downloaded, and it's so customizable. You could practically make your own full-fledged game, you know.
It's pretty much an RPG maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it
what
is.
it was.
Well, that's how they, I know this is probably a spoiler for later, but that's how they made Dragon Age Origins. They made it within the Neverwinter Nights engine until they kind of broke off and did it on their own. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Wow.
At least from what I heard at the time of
Yeah.
development.
You got the tattoos. I think I trust
Right.
you on this one.
I know
we'll
I know one thing at least.
The
But
Shmee of the group here.
Like how they made Breath of the Wild on the NES Zelda before they actually put it
Yeah,
on the
totally.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Neverwinter Nights. Do you guys remember much of the story? Was it a lot of
No.
dialogue?
it was really,
I remember
yeah, it was
zero
really
of the
pretty
story.
bare
forgettable.
bones.
Yeah.
Zippity doo, nothing.
Like no party member. I don't remember jack shite.
Was it still in the D&D universe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. Okay. They were working on this, Baldur's Gate 2 and MDK 2 at the same time, though.
All I remember is a friend playing it because I had no business playing a video game on a PC. I had no idea how to do it, so it's fucking fine.
Yeah, I barely had an email
Right.
address at the time.
I did not.
Here, the dogcast at gmail.com. Tell us what the fuck Neverwinter Nights was about.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. 'cause
Someone
I-
write the plot. I will give you $1.
It was third person. I remember that much, and I because that was my style of games at the time, and I remember that this was an easy dive in for me, when this game came out, because this was at the time that I really had. I think I got a full-time job, so I was like, first thing I did with my first checks was I'm gonna buy like the highest powered PC at the time. So
Yep.
I bought Alien versus Predator 2. I remember.
Okay.
And Neverwinter Nights.
I think I
remember
have
that.
Alien.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, high resolution, everything.
Right.
And yeah, but
Ultimate.
Neverwinter Nights I never fully beat, but I do remember like like I said, the campaigns being RPG, D&D rules, and I think at the time,
pausing,
Yeah.
then selecting,
Yeah.
and then releasing it. And letting
Party
it go.
management. Yes.
yeah, because it was like kind of like
management.
turn-based, but fully,
It
like a
played out
turn-based
real
action.
time, but it was crunching numbers.
real time.
behind
That
it.
was the
Yeah.
word I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the way they perfected it these days is they use like the XCOM style, where it's feet you can move across the map, and then it's more of an active combat system.
Right.
Very good. Now this guy will use fireball, and that guy will use his sword. And meanwhile, you're a guy with the sword. He'll run in front of the fireball, but obviously won't calculate that damage. I actually might get into this one again at some
Yeah.
point if I'm ever like truly bored.
It'd be fun to
You said
just...
this one's on the Switch as well. Do they have? Are all their games on the Switch now?
Only Baldur's Gate 2 and Neverwinter Nights is actually on Switch.
Well,
Baldur's
the reason,
one they never released.
The reason
on
I'd
that.
want to play it on the PC, though, is to get access to all of those sick different mods.
Yeah.
To play everyone
Yeah.
else's.
Because
Yeah.
I'm sure the user-created
And the-
content
yeah.
is going to vastly overshadow the original story from 2002 or whatever it was.
But I mean, portability. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
portability, because
You got You got a point.
yeah.
It's true. I'm right.
The Switch
I'm always
has
right.
portability. Terrible.
Yep.
job.
All right. Moving on.
Now, what do we have next?
I think it's probably one of their most famous games of all time. I think it's Knights of the Old Republic or KOTOR.
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 This came out. Did it come out exclusively for the Xbox?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember.
PC later.
At the time, it was just like you had like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. You had Dark Forces. You had all these
so
other like
good.
kind of like Star Wars side-scrolling shooter games, but there wasn't like a really like big RPG game that you could really delve into the lore and kind of be your own character, so to speak. And which I think this set the map for like BioWare. This is how we're going to make games moving forward. So Casey Hudson was the creative director of this game. We all know he had a big to do with the Mass Effect trilogy.
Yep.
And they developed this game for like 3 years. I mean, it followed like the similar standard story of like, you're kind of like a Jedi apprentice, so to speak, and you could actually pick, do you want to be dark side or do you want to be light side?
It makes sense with them wanting to create paragons or renegades, these decisions that'll affect your character. The Jedi and the Sith are a pretty good example of the different paths you could take.
Right.
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty great.
You're right.
Yeah, in that the Star Wars universe made it very easy that in the end the main antagonist, which was Malak, depending on how you played the game, you could either sympathize with him and become a Sith Lord, or you could just be like, nah, you a bad guy, and then
I like that your party members too. You can affect what they do.
Yeah.
It's like if Dylan and I are hanging out. He says he wants to go home, but I say one more beer. I could trick him to having 4 more beers. I'm taking him to the light side.
True.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
you're not
saving
wrong.
his soul.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's cool that.
And then Tom disagrees because he's grumpy and he wants to go home.
no, Tom is never the one who wants to go home first. That's
He's
usually
the
me.
Tom is the droid.
I'm HK47.
We'll find out at MGC who lasts the
Oh,
longest.
this will be very fun.
Stay away from Wittenhagen and Pacina.
That's right. Oh my God.
Yeah, so when they were contacted by George Lucas, they were offered you can make a property based on Star Wars, Attack of the Clones,
Or Howard the Duck.
or Howard the Duck, or the Star Wars
3,000
timeline.
years in the past.
3,000 years in the past, and they just knew, well, we want some freedom and what we're going to do character-wise and planet-wise. So we're
did they
doing
make
Howard
this
the Duck.
canon? I don't know. Did they make this canon within the Star Wars universe?
This
It's
was-
not
it
canon
was.
anymore.
It
Yeah.
was
Okay.
canon and
until
it is,
Disney came in and just said no.
yeah, I
think
don't
that's
know
what I
why.
heard,
This is
yeah.
old enough to where you think it would be fine, but
Yeah. They're
doesn't-
still they might
It
be
makes sense.
they might be easing some of this stuff into canon again based on Rise of
Kathleen
Skywalker.
Kennedy shouldn't be in charge.
Well, in The Last Jedi, there's a book that says Revan on the side of it.
Oh,
Yeah, and they mentioned Revan in the newest Star Wars movie. So
oh, they did.
I don't remember
I
that
must have
because I
noticed
was
that.
very upset.
they did?
oh God, yeah.
Did they?
Huh?
When did they mention Revan?
I missed it, but yeah, it's in there. It's just like a millisecond. Somebody says like Revan Corp like stands ready or something like that.
all like the
And
the
someone's like,
Siths on
wasn't Revan
Exegol?
3,000 years old?
It's funny because if you haven't played this game, well, maybe I won't reveal the plot.
Everybody
Or-
knows.
Turns out,
Revan's actually a good guy, canonically. at the end of
canonically,
this.
but
Yeah.
he could go either way.
Yeah.
He can go either way. Canonically, he transforms himself back because of his amnesia. It's a very
Convenient.
RPG thing.
Yes, very much so.
No kidding.
Is this the only game that they do with the amnesia thing, though? I think it is. It's
I
such
don't remember
it's such
too.
an easy gameplay mechanic to just the character's going to learn with the person playing at the same time.
It might be Dragon Age Inquisition. I think you don't have amnesia. in that.
No, you don't have
you
amnesia,
You're
but
actually
you
just
didn't
like some
consider-
podunk weirdo.
you're
Yeah.
just some dude that just, or some dude or
Yeah.
some chick that just kind of gets this power, and you're like, I don't know why.
Right, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
I have
So
this,
yeah,
yeah.
I think you're right. But
Yeah.
oh my God, this game sold Xboxes.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, at the
The only
time, it
game
was
it
just
did.
like it. Yeah, it moved them.
Any Star Wars fan.
To me,
Yeah.
It was-
being one of them.
I mean, it was smart for them to go with the Xbox too, because American RPGs, we weren't getting a lot of like. There's almost no JRPGs on the Xbox, so to bring a
Yeah, literally none.
CRPG as
Yeah.
like their big push,
Right.
Yeah.
really sold the Xbox as being capable and almost akin to with the PC.
And the Xbox was so close to it was basically a PC,
Yeah.
and so
It
it was
looked,
BioWare
it looked the part. Yeah.
knew how to
Yeah,
develop.
it really
that.
did. I think this was probably one of their best flagship titles. So, and this is also backwards compatible with the Xbox One. So,
still playable.
yeah,
though.
still
Yep.
playable, and actually they up-resed it, so it's it looks good. It plays solid.
Free on Game Pass, from what I understand or remember.
Yep.
Is it? Oh yeah.
Could be- Yep. And
I mean,
they-
I have the physical copy, so I have it
I'll be
uploaded to
pl-
my
I mean,
system
I'll
anyway.
probably
So
be-
yeah,
playing it again.
and it's one of those that they, along with Jade Empire, that they remastered. So if you play it on Game Pass, they upres the textures and frame rate. And
Yes.
everything.
The reason that Xbox is going to win the next console war. Game Pass and
shots fired. Wow.
and also their policies on
That's a big shot.
that's-
updating their
That's-
old games.
Yeah,
and
no, I'm with you on that
allowing
one.
To play all your old shit if you own it.
Yeah.
That's why they're going to win.
Yeah, check out the
Sorry,
last episode
Sony.
of the Dogcast.
Sorry, man.
The Game Pass
I
is taking over.
Sony's going to have backwards compatibility.
I would
though.
think if
it's
they
not
want to
gonna
compete
be-
with
it's
Xbox,
not
they
gonna
have
be
to
the
have.
same, though.
Yeah,
It's not going to be the same. They're going to have a hard time catching up at this point. So
Yeah.
I just think that's how it's going to be.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
you heard it from Dylan.
I just want to give a
a
good
convert.
shout out. The best assassin in the video game universe was KH-47.
Yes.
One
Which-
smart ass.
He's kind of a dick, right?
Yeah, he was kind of a smart ass actually, but I loved him.
What does he call
Yeah.
humans?
Meat bags.
Meat bags.
Meat
Yes.
bags, yeah.
Also, I think this was the first fully voiced RPG that they made.
Yeah.
Was everything?
Nothing was fully voiced. in
Yeah,
this.
like we're talking conversations and everything, I imagine. Yeah.
Like,
it was- it
main
was
story
voiced.
conversations were,
Yeah.
but when you talk to like some random NPCs,
Yeah,
obviously
right.
there's not going to be.
Definitely the most voice work that they had to date.
And
Yeah.
it's Good voice acting, too.
Yeah, they had some good. They got some good people
Very good, yeah.
who are escaping me right now. But
I'm actually going to look that up right now.
I own KOTOR, but I never really played it. The gameplay seemed a little slow to me back then in high school. Because I wasn't used to you hit a button and you watch your character attack. Here I am playing turn-based RPGs and loving it, but it just seemed odd to me that it was kind of one step apart from that.
yes,
So
it wasn't like 1-to-1. Like when you strike, there was still number crunching going on in the background, like a D&D rule set.
Because
judging whether you're hitting or missing.
as time has gone on, action games and RPGs have just been melding more and more. But this was still very much like an RPG bet in the old vein. It was a close third person. It wasn't isometric, which was a little different. But they were able to develop 8 different planets. Each had their own stories and side quests. I know that there's a lot of characters that people have strong opinions on.
Yeah.
I personally, I haven't played it, so I don't know too much. I actually know KH-47, even without having played the game. People talk about him.
Yeah.
Is it KH or HK?
HK.
Just want to make sure because people are probably yelling in there. Like, it's HK.
Yeah, it's HK.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
HK,
okay.
Yes.
It's been a long time since I played it, so
Same here,
I mean,
yeah.
this makes me want to kind of go back into it.
I remember Moloch, Bastila, or Bastilla.
Bastilla, yeah.
Yeah, and then HK are probably the ones that I remember. And Mission Veo.
I mean, you're nailing all of them, dude.
There you go.
I just know that I just know that,
Brad.
especially considering Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is just like it's so hard to make Wookiees look decent in a video game. And it was like, well, maybe Fallen Order will get it, and it's like, no, it really didn't.
Right.
Jeez, like it's so hard to develop normal looking Wookiee.
Yeah.
you know? Like
It's about animation speaking. It's about layering the hair.
yeah, and
Even Disney only perfected it recently. If you go back to like Monsters Inc., the first one, Sully does not look good.
I think this is a Star Wars game that wouldn't be possible today given Disney's Iron Fist.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, this is a pretty adult Star Wars game. Like some of the quests you go on deal with like slavery. There's double crossing and double crossing, and in some of the missions.
well, and you can be evil. You
And you
know,
can-
like you can
downright,
be
yes.
downright evil.
Yep.
You know, and
I mean,
I don't think Disney would stand
are
for a lot of that.
ruthless.
Yeah.
No, can't have that.
No.
So with the rumors of a possible KOTOR 2,
A KOTOR remaster.
a remaster, nobody really knows. There's been conflicting reports.
Really?
Is it a remaster? Is it something that is sort of a remaster, but
Like a reimagining?
kind of shoves it into what Disney, the current canon?
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
There's been conflicting reports on that.
We're
but-
all shaking our heads here right now. Everybody
I know.
in listener land.
But if they could go back and do a straight up remaster this, it'd
So
be-
pigeon.
I don't want EA to take a
remake.
dump on a great game.
So
Yeah.
pigeonholing all of the creativity that made this game good.
Well, they're going to be given 8 months to develop the entire game, so it'll be fine.
It'll be fantastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
this game has to come out
Just give it to Obsidian.
by the next
Yeah.
Star Wars movie, which, yeah.
They'll fix it in the patches for over 2 years.
they'll give it to Howard Scott Warshaw. He'll have 6
Episode
weeks
9
to make
too.
it.
Sorry about episode 9.
So
That's a great title.
but
Episode 9 too. Sorry,
Yeah.
Sorry about
episode
that.
9.
but yeah, it's hard to understate how beloved this game is. Just
It's a wonderful experience. When you first play it, though, I remember playing it on my cousin's Xbox, and it felt unlike anything I had ever really played before.
Yeah.
And maybe this was my first experience with a game of this type, but I still think it's pretty entertaining. The animations, everything makes you feel more powerful and more in control than you actually are.
oh yeah.
Especially like lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
You're not doing much in those fights.
Oh no.
You're barely doing anything.
But still, you're jamming on the button.
You're just like,
Yeah.
like when you have to catch a Pokemon, it's just like, hey.
Right. Yeah. None of this shit makes a difference.
Yep.
They did implement a shocking twist into the game, though, which I know that they
Yes.
did in Baldur's Gate 2. I don't know what it was, but I know that was one of the things that they wanted to do is try and have like a big twist happen
There
in the
is.
story. They do it in the game after this, Jade Empire, as well. Yeah, their stories are very well written as far as RPGs go, and it's so tricky when you want to implement a diverging storyline because then you have to plan around you killed this character or you did this, and now all of the NPCs from then on who addresses you differently. Just mapping that out, I could see being a real headache.
Yeah.
And this was their early iterations. I think they did a really amazing job with KOTOR and Jade Empire.
Yeah. Well, and then you look at things like Telltale games where it shows you a bunch of this shit like blank blank will remember that. They don't.
Fuck blank blank.
Yeah.
Fuck Telltale games.
It may
I
adjust,
really
like,
don't
the
like.
conversation
I don't
piece.
like Telltale games.
The first season of The Walking Dead was great.
Yes, the first season was
Yeah.
fine.
I hate The Walking
It was fine.
The game.
But I'm going to tell you this. BioWare still did it better back then because they had so much to account for, and it still made it feel better because you're not just, well, it's not an interactive movie, let's put it that way. You actually had to do something in this game.
You actually had a game.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
not
important.
Am I misremembering that the whole fight at the end, if you did a certain button combination, you could make Malik dance instead?
What?
That must have been a code. I don't know
I
it
think
though.
there was
Yeah.
a code where you could like skip the final boss.
Oh, really?
Fuck, I don't know. I think that was
I
something.
remember fighting Malik. I never did that though.
Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
I was
that
a
at the
little
time,
boy
yeah.
without internet.
Can you
so-
spare Malik, or do you have to kill him at the end?
I
have-
mean, you could spare him and like go to the dark side.
That's the only way.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Because I saw an article just the other day. You'd be surprised at how many people went Paragon in the Mass Effect series. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I'm
like
not.
90% of the players
Yes.
like went Paragon. Yeah.
Because all your characters get to live and you have the best ending.
If I could
Are
punch
you talking
every
about-
news reporter and still have everyone live, I probably would.
Yeah.
Are you talking about that recent Twitter post from, was it the writer of Mass Effect?
I don't know. I saw an article.
was like a
Yeah,
It was a couple
some-
days
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, that was a couple days ago where they said like, yeah, they did the stats and like 90% of like Mass Effect players went completely Paragon.
He's like,
Yeah.
we spent a lot of time.
Yeah,
on
and we
those.
still had to like make the other half
Well,
of the
it's,
game
it's
for those
because there's
10%
no
too.
because even Paragon doesn't have consequences. There are no consequences for being the good guy. There are only consequences for being the bad guy.
Yeah.
and that really kind of separates it from actual like one of the big things in game theory in general is the illusion of choice. A lot of what game development is, especially when it comes to story, is making you feel like you're making the choice rather than you actually going through and making that physical choice.
Yeah, and that was the one thing I think BioWare really nailed with a lot of their games, especially after KOTOR, was that your choices mattered within the overall story and the overall world. Like they really did, whether they were good or bad. You know, if you made a bad choice, that
Right.
means an entire faction is, you know, hunting you down or maybe like treats you differently.
I wish they would have. We'll get to the fucking Mass Effect.
Yeah,
We'll get
but-
to
We
the
will.
Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brad, just to corroborate your dancing, Malik, I guess on the PC version, after you enable cheats, you can type in "dance dance Malik" and he turns into a dancing Twi'lek. And
A
then
sexy one?
Yeah, you beat
All
the
of
game.
them are sexy.
I mean, it's-
They are. They're pretty good. Yeah.
yeah. So there you go.
So he would dance instead of fight.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so it turns out your amnesiatic character, turns out he was the Sith Lord the whole time.
The second Sith
What a
Lord.
twist.
That's actually a really
What a
great twist.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play the game, but everyone says it was effective and they didn't see it coming, which
I
one of the
did
biggest
not.
Yeah.
twists in modern video game history, probably.
and I do appreciate though that you do when you are making decisions for like or influencing your teammates, you can convince them to do bad things, and you have to see them like start looking more evil and turn into
Yeah.
Yeah.
and maybe
More scars.
and maybe you're getting into it like
Just like, yeah, man, dude. All right. Good.
punch that Wookiee in the dick.
Does he have one? Who
Right.
cares?
If that was
Hit
an
him anyway.
option, I would be all about it. Anyone else have anything they want to mention on KOTOR before we move on?
I really hope they do a remaster.
I just want a new one.
I hope it's
Yeah,
in-
same here.
I
don't care.
would rather go for that.
I don't
yeah,
need a
but
new. Listen, and I don't think it actually would take as much as they fucking think. They have the bones. And
Rumors are
especially-
they started one a couple times.
Like
And-
we're gonna get into it later, but they've got movement and stuff on the Frostbite engine pretty well down at this point. They just weren't able to make a good game out of it.
Yeah.
They
Throw
could
that
do it
fucker
on
out.
this. I think turn-based combat almost. I think they could do it.
maybe.
I think they could.
Yeah, and you mentioned before, Stoy, this was Casey Hudson's first time sitting in the director's chair. And
Yeah.
he went on to become a very important part and eventually the leading person behind the BioWare team. God bless him. He was doing some fantastic work, and then he listened to Bob Dylan one time.
Oh God.
Before we go on to our next game, though, we are a podcast about video games and beer.
And beer and games.
And beer and
Beer and
games. That's the
games,
tagline.
That's right.
That's the tagline.
Tang.
So let's just go around and talk about what beers we're drinking. Stoy, would you like to go first?
Well, I actually brought. Right now I'm drinking the Lux and Redux. It's a milk stout with coffee and maple syrup, which I just took a swig and it was very good. But I ended up bringing the Imperial Milk Stout from Angry Minnow Brewery in Hayward, Wisconsin. So, little plug to the local guys. So,
Right on.
Yeah.
Hayward.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I fucking love Hayward.
yeah, it's interesting. Their brewery is in
I
an
can't
old
believe they
bank.
have a fucking brewery.
Yeah, it's
Hayward.
in an old bank. Like
This-
it looks
this-
like one of those like 1800 style banks where like
Sure.
the reception areas or whatever or the tellers were like in the middle of the room, and yeah, it's like all the seating is all around on the outside of it. They have an actual restaurant. Like you can go there and get tacos and
Awesome.
burgers and stuff like that. It's really cool.
And this Imperial milk stout you brought is definitely aged in a bourbon barrel. I can
Yes,
taste that.
yes, it definitely is. You know,
a
it's
thick
creamy
boy.
enough that it's not a strong bourbon flavor, but it's it still has a little kick.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Dylan?
I'm also drinking the Lux and Redux. Brad, you were so gracious as to give me one.
From Hacienda Beer Company.
Hacienda, yeah, and then I brought hams for myself. I woke up 4 hours ago, and then I just went to my local
a
like
hams
bodega to get some beer. I was like, yeah, all right, well,
Tom, what are you drinking?
Yes,
Love 'em.
I'm drinking This Is Not a Sandwich, also by Hacienda Beer Company. It's an Italian-style Pilsner.
Not a sandwich.
It is not a sandwich.
And it's-
I just see a
Italian-style
picture of ham
Pilsner,
on
huh?
the side there. Does it taste like ham?
Not hams, but
Well, no, just
not
ham.
a picture of ham.
ham.
There's cucumbers. There's a
Cheese.
cheese wedge, a tomato. No, it tasted like a
Fun fact:
decent.
You know how Wisconsin cheeseheads have like those divots, like those holes?
Yeah.
If you ever have a cheddar that has holes in it, don't eat it.
There you
Why?
Because those are called aerators, and that's basically meaning that in cheddars, if they have that, the bacteria fucked up real bad, and you shouldn't be eating it.
But it looks so good.
go. Yeah.
It looks good.
What if it's
Feel it.
made of foam?
I'm just picturing Tom cutting them into manageable strips, dipping them into a giant bucket of ranch, and just sliding them down his throat.
Chasing it with a nice dark
Subsequently
beer.
choking to death.
Tom's just like, and Kate's just like in the corners being like, "What the
Dude,
fuck?"
the Heimlich maneuver again? Jesus. Bioware.
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 BioWare were they next? They were making Jade Empire.
The game that they had always pretty much wanted to make.
Yeah, this was their
from the
dream
beginning.
game from the start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to note that they wanted to make this, Asian influenced martial arts based game. And it's also really nice because it is completely free of other properties, so they can do.
No licenses that they have to pay.
Yeah.
But I remember,
Fuck.
just interviews with the doctors, even before KOTOR, or maybe even like Baldur's Gate 2
Ray
came out.
Musica and Greg Zeschuk. We didn't say their names earlier. These
Yes.
two guys are the fathers, the founders, the dudes.
The Holy Trinity. I think there was one more guy.
He was only there very early.
He was
but
very-
he left
yeah.
very early as well.
Yeah.
Forget his
Yeah.
name.
So is everybody else.
So did the Sands of
Yeah.
Time.
Yes. But I remember those guys talking about they had the title, Jade Empire, saying that was the game that they wanted to make, or, it was going to, their next game, even when it wasn't their next game, because it took to 2005 before they released it.
Yeah, and this was an Xbox exclusive game.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like an RPG / action game. Like it really kind of blended the two genres together.
They were moving more into action with this game for sure. And it was it wasn't, you hit a button and you wait and you like queue up attacks. You were actively switching between fighting styles.
Yeah.
Yes, which was a pretty
It was
unique
real time.
take
Yeah.
on the genre, I thought.
Yep.
For the time,
I skipped
especially.
calculus class to go buy this on day one.
This kind of reminded me of Mortal Kombat at the time when it got released. Like you could actually, all your characters could switch between different fighting styles. I remember I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Jade Empire because you could actually switch fighting styles on the fly during combat,
Sure.
like depending on who you fought against.
Do you remember which Mortal Kombat that was?
Deadly Alliance.
Okay.
I think it was Deadly Alliance and Armageddon. Because
Man.
Mortal
That's
Kombat
around the
Armageddon
same
had
time.
literally every Mortal Kombat character
Yeah.
in history up until that point.
I just realized we have to do a Mortal Kombat lore episode, and I just got really sad about it.
Oh, there's
The
so
new
much
games,
there.
the new
No, you
games really
don't.
encapsulated.
What's that?
You don't.
No, we have to.
don't have to.
Me and Dylan tackle the lore of games sometimes.
We do the difficult
Yeah.
stuff.
Sometimes.
Yeah, well, we did the Sonic episode, okay?
We're not done with the Sonic stuff though.
We'll talk a little bit more about Sonic today. Yeah,
Because I have things to say about like the deeper aspects of it, and we never got to that.
What is wrong with you?
That's why we made Raw Dogs, Tom. So we can get this out.
Have you ever fucking met me? I don't know what to tell you.
Just kidding. So yeah, Jade Empire. I just recently, also on the Game Pass, they have the remastered version.
Oh, I did.
Do they?
Yeah,
they
so
do,
if you put
yeah.
your disc in, it downloads the
Oh, okay.
the newer version, and it runs really smooth. I streamed a little bit of it.
So on the Xbox One?
Xbox One.
Xbox One.
Yeah, awesome.
And it looks really nice. But yeah, for some reason, this game just didn't. I played through it all, and it's another one where I just don't remember too much of it. I thought it was a bit on the short side. I did enjoy it, but
How old were you when this came out?
2005. I was.
That was 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez.
Yeah, I remember I was
April
like
12th.
23, 24 years
Yeah.
old when this came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 26.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 16.
And I was 15.
Yeah, and my buddy
You youngins.
Tom was huge into KOTOR. He was so huge into KOTOR, he bought it for me as a birthday present when it was still a $50 game. He wanted me to love it so much.
Who did?
My buddy Tom.
Oh, yeah.
I call him the cool Tom.
The cool.
You are the
I
cool
call him the
Tom.
cool Tom. Yeah.
I'm going to call you the cool Tom.
Tom, you're my cool Tom.
Oh, thanks, Dylan.
No one's ever bought me KOTOR.
He wanted me to
No
love
one's ever bought me that either.
He wanted me to love it so much, and I didn't care for it. And then Jade Empire came out, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, they made another cool game."
Yeah.
And he was all about it too. But I didn't play it back then. But the world design and the fact that they created this martial arts fighting system, based on real life martial arts, it looks super cool. Like it's a
Absolutely.
cool concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very rad.
And it still plays really. I was surprised at how well it played when I booted it up.
Well, just the mythology, like I think they really did a love story to Chinese mythology, like all throughout
Sure.
the story and all the
the mysticism
Yeah, the
and-
mysticism. That's the word. Yeah.
And these are men who clearly have studied kung fu movies because
Yeah.
there are direct animations ripped from Bruce Lee in this. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's another thing I can't stress enough about BioWare is their animation. Like, I feel like if you have bad animation and your characters are super stiff and they're not moving around correctly, it
So like
really
Andromeda?
breaks immersion. Well, no, it breaks immersion because even now when I play like Final Fantasy 14, some of the characters will walk and then they'll like shift their bodies like they're robots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is really taking me out of it. People have to act like people if I'm going to treat them like people.
Well, especially in combat, because if you're going to base a game on martial arts combat, you have to have it be fluid, especially in
Absolutely.
3D space.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it holds up even to this day when you go back to it. I think I went back to it like maybe like 5-6 years ago or something like that. I remember, and yeah, I was like, wow, this actually holds up pretty good.
I'm gonna go through the companions. If you have any strong memories or feelings,
I don't remember
But
any.
when but I tried to sum up each companion.
There's an old drunk guy.
I remember the board.
That's like the only guy.
So I tried to, in like just one sentence, describe each companion from the paragraphs I read. So Dawnstar, childhood friend, can talk to ghosts. Sagacious, Zoo, kinda boring brute dude.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Salacious Crumb.
Black Whirlwind, a drunken madman dual wielding axis. Okay, we love him.
Also
I was going to say he was
African-American.
the guy that I distinctly remember. Yeah.
The classic henpecked who. He tosses you wine to help in battle and allows you to use the drunken master fighting style.
Okay,
another
very
favorite
cool.
of the Dogcast.
I was going to
sure.
say at the time, I remember when this game came out, Jackie Chan made the Drunken Master movie, which is probably one of his best movies of all time.
Drunken Master
very
is
good.
old though.
Yeah, it's old, but I think he made a.
There are
It wasn't like a
sequels.
remastered version,
Yeah.
but it was
Okay.
like, he made a kind of like more updated version that was really good.
That movie's so fucking good. I watched it for
Yeah.
the first time like half a year ago. It's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
It's got probably some of the best, maybe the best fight choreography I've seen of all time.
Oh yeah, I'm totally agree with you on that.
Of course, we have Kang the Mad, who was a mad scientist with explosives, and the Dragonfly, which was a ship, a very important party member. There was the character Sky, some dude you can bone,
Yo.
a kind-hearted thief.
Oh, I thought you said it. I thought it said a kindergarten thief. Really?
No, he's like, wait, what?
I'm like, whoa, I don't remember that shit.
Give me your crayons.
Give me your nap, Matt.
Yes.
Give me your nap mat. I'm napping here now.
I'll eat
you
that
could just
glue.
sleep on the
Thank
cold
you very
floor.
much.
The kindergarten thief, Sky, some dude you can bone.
Yeah. He talks
He's
just like
like,
Arnold
milk.
Schwarzenegger.
I think you guys just
You'll
came
give
up with
me-
the episode title.
Yeah.
Milk doesn't belong in boxes.
You
And he
will
just
give
swipes
me
it
your
out of
milk
his
or I will
hands.
take it from you.
Right. Yeah.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
It's not a tumor.
Yeah. I don't.
Zinbu, the magic abacus, not a fighter but a portable store. Wildflower sounded like a cool character. Was a little girl who morphs into an ancient demon.
Yeah, she was pretty. Wow.
And whether or not you were more towards the evil side or the good side, the demon could come out as like a good, like a nicer demon or like a fucked up demon. I'm all into that. Been watching the Sabrina series on Netflix recently. It's actually good.
Oh, okay.
The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's good. Check it out.
I've seen the whole thing too, Brad. I get it.
It's like dark as shit. I didn't expect that.
The pacing is awful in that show.
It's great to have pay attention and to read Final Fantasy books, though.
What you should do is you should actually read the comic that it's based
The
off
Archie
of.
comic?
No, not the Archie. Well, it's technically Archie Comics, but they did a miniseries.
So I was right
Takes
the whole
place in the
time.
60s.
Yeah.
And the art is really good, and it's basically what they based this entire thing off of. It ends in 6 issues. It's worth reading.
The character Silk Fox, who was a
Priorities.
princess, blah, blah, blah. I guess Abbott's song, I just didn't write anything. I guess I didn't care at that point. And
yeah,
then
whatever.
Death's Hand, after you defeat him, he's like one of the strongest dudes in the game. You can free his soul or enslave him.
He's the last guy. He's your
Well,
master, right?
Yeah, maybe it's like endgame stuff.
What made
Yeah.
this game less of a success?
I don't think it was too much
It was-
less of a success.
It was popular, but it never got a sequel. And
It
this
didn't
is my
have-
question.
It
didn't
was
have-
missing something.
It didn't have Star Wars.
It was missing
Or
like a little
Dungeons
bit
and
of
Dragons.
salt. It was missing a little bit of panache, like a spice.
I mean, I
Something.
never played the game, but I think it was just that it was their own property that didn't really resonate with other people as
Yeah.
much as they were hoping it would. Because everything I read and watched, this game sounds and looks amazing.
No,
Yeah.
it's still good. I think
The fact that you get betrayed halfway through by your master who was training you to do the deed for him, and you have to fight your way out of the afterlife.
I think, yeah, there was just something. It was fine. It was good. It was a good game. But yeah, I think there was just something in the execution. And I do, like I
I
said,
think it was
I
just
still-
slow. It was a slow moving story.
Yeah.
and I think it didn't.
It was-
Especially for me, it didn't grab me right away. It took me a while, like quite a few hours, to really get into the story. Especially like when all of a sudden, like, yeah, your master betrays you, and then you go, you die. Basically, you go to the afterlife. It's like, okay, all right, now I'm hooked. For a lot of people with short attention spans, it takes a while.
yeah.
So
And they also were developing with this game just boning characters in general, which is great. Something
hell
that they've
yeah.
always been
start of a
working on.
great series of games for Bioware.
Yeah. So there was
for a very
Jade
specific
Empire 1.
I'll say this. I'll say this for a very specific fandom. There are groups of fans, and it's a very large population of these players. They play the game specifically for just the character and interaction. They don't give a fuck about the action or the combat.
They do
All
it to
wanna
get to the character interactions.
Exactly. They do it so
Yeah.
that you can fuck weird insectoid.
Well,
men.
not even that.
Man.
They're not just trying to bang Garrus. They after the first one came out, they're like, you need to put that option in there. We care about this character so much. We want a
Yeah.
relation.
We need to fuck the guy.
It's not about seeing CG boobs. Like, it's people wanting to have like a back and forth with the character they've grown to trust.
Yeah.
It sounds wonky, but it's true. I care so much for Morden. Not like in a relationship sense, but dude, when he
R.I.P.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. But it's interesting that they want you to connect so much with the characters and reflect on them, and they change and they try and adapt with you, which, there's some of that in other games before, but it's something that BioWare really put at the front of the games they were making.
Well, and
Yeah.
not even to be stereotypical, I feel like this whole aspect of like the socialization and stuff, it brought in a lot of people who wouldn't potentially be gamers otherwise.
Anyone else have anything they want to talk about with Jade Empire?
No, I think, like I said, I think that was a good start to what was to come for Bioware. So
So we do have those big Titan series we're going to get to, but we're going to save that for the next episode. We're going to jump ahead a little bit to talk about, sadly, the only game where you can't fuck another character,
Darn.
Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
Which we
There
talked a
has to be an
little bit
option.
yeah,
If
come on.
I can't bang titty fuck the bat,
There's
Did he fuck the bat?
That's Dylan's moniker for Rogue. Rouge.
Just the tension between Sonic and Robotnik. It's going to happen one day.
Well, no, listen. I'm going to try to interview the guy from Crush 40, and I'm going to have him say...
Dude, we're having him on Raw Dogs.
Dude, Johnny Gioeli, yeah. We interviewed him last year at Midwest Gaming Classic.
Is he receptive?
Dude is the most awesome guy you could ever talk to.
Can I make him
receptive.
Can I make him say titty fuck the bat?
No, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that, man.
Just don't tell him.
He's a wholesome dude, so he may... I don't know.
TDF the bat will go.
TDF the bat.
Right.
Yeah.
Will he sing like live and learn, hanging out with the guys from the dog cast?
Yeah. No.
Titty fuck the bat.
That would.
Yeah.
That would make
He
my
sung.
entire
Yeah, because
life.
it was one of our past episodes. We actually interviewed him on the stage floor, and like he was like inviting everybody around the crowd. Like I remember last year there was like a bridal event or something like that going on.
Really?
Yeah, like it was like a bridal show.
Okay.
And he was like inviting all these like brides to come on, and he was like, "Yeah, come on, you want to talk to us?" And we're like, "Yeah, not really, but sure, do what you got to do."
Well, this will be a real Dylan interview, so it's good.
I want to hear it. That poor guy.
Yeah.
I remember him coming out on
shut
the
up.
stage.
Yeah, he's really
not
really receptive. So
Not because of you. No.
It is the first episode of the Dylan Experience where it's just Dylan.
It's going to be live
interviewing.
Dylan experience. There are going to be a few live Dylan experiences. What I want to do is I want to record a bunch while I'm walking the floor, and I'm going to interview people.
yeah, just
I'll
stream
edit
live
it
on
myself.
Twitch.
It's fine. Yeah. No, yeah, it'll be great.
So November 2005, Bioware and Pandemic Studios announced that there will be a merger between the two.
And this is interesting because in the media they said this as Pandemic was closing, which was interesting because Pandemic was the development studio that made like
I mean, that's
Mercenaries
technically
2
true,
and
though.
Mercenaries, yeah, it was, but they shuffled a lot of the development crew to Bioware.
Yeah. Were they
Those mercenary
Destroy All
games were
Humans as well? Or?
Destroy All Humans and Mercenaries.
Yeah,
the
okay.
Mercenaries series,
Which Destroy All Humans is getting a remaster.
Didn't they already?
I think they
No, it's
came out
getting
already?
no, it's getting no. I'm sorry, it's getting a remake.
Oh, okay.
It's getting a remake.
it?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
Never played. Always wanted to.
it's a lot of fun. It's like GTA, but with more alien abduction.
Perfect.
More anal probes.
Exactly.
But their merger didn't get to be too fruitful right away because in October of 2007, the partnership was bought by Electronic Arts. That's when the announcement was, anyways, for that.
Ugh.
And here we go.
Well, there's still some glory days. There's still a lot of glory days to talk about, but this was, the beginning of.
Times are not dead.
Yeah, I mean, there's still titty fuck the bat.
Titty fuck the bat.
Aaron Flynn, the former general manager of Bioware, commented not too much changed in the early days. I mean, the first change was an emphasis on multi-platform launches. The EA influence was allegedly pretty minor at first, which I think is great. Sometimes the budgets felt small and the timelines felt short, but the creative decisions were left to BioWare, which is cool.
We're all putting allegedly in quotes.
Yeah.
I've got opinions even as far as that goes, but I've read a lot about the first Mass Effect in terms of its development, and it was not great.
What I really want, though, is your opinion on Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, which was
Never
their
played
next
it.
release, 2008, September 25th. Never played it.
Never played it either.
Me neither.
I actually did watch a playthrough on YouTube.
Did you watch an entire playthrough?
I watched 40 minutes of it.
That's admirable.
it was
You're
cut-
a bigger man than I am.
It was cut. It was cut for comedy content, but you would see stuff happening, and this was obviously like they did this because Sega was like, "Do you guys want to make a Sonic game?
We'll give you the Sonic game.
Are you sure? I think Sonic would be really great. RPG character.
They wanted to as well, though. This is something that I thought they were working on before EA got a hold of them. This is, I don't know.
I don't think
BioWare would fuck around.
Yeah,
think
didn't want to make their like version of
I'm
like the
sorry.
Super Mario RPG.
I think they
Kinda
wanted
like-
to make like a portable RPG, and they wanted a big franchise to hang the hat on.
Well, then why did they fuck up that bad? Because it's not good.
Are you sure? Because all I remember is it was people said it was better than it had a right to be, but it wasn't great.
The gameplay becomes
compared to all the other Sonic games.
From what I've heard,
Not an
the
argument.
biggest issue was that it's mostly all controlled by the stylus. You move with the stylus.
yeah,
the battles, like every time you attack, you have to do certain motions with it.
Okay.
Sure.
And
Reminds me of Ninja Gaiden for the DS.
oh man, I never.
It was entirely just
ew.
yeah. You actually had to like play the game in book mode, So you had to fully tilt it sideways,
no.
and then all the combat was like with the stylus. Oh god,
There was
I
an adventure
appreciate the
game
effort.
yeah.
The only time I want to do that is there's an adventure game, and I can't remember what it's called, but I owned it at one point for the DS where you
Hotel
flip it on
Dusk.
its side. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hotel Dusk.
That's a good video game,
It's
and
a great
that's the
video
game. Yeah, it
perfect
is.
application for something like that. Otherwise,
book, yeah.
get the hell out of here. Not a
GTFO.
fan. Yep.
There you go.
But
Or
we cannot,
Virtuous
got
Last
it.
Reward.
we cannot undercut the
Man.
importance
That was good.
Yeah.
of Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. It introduced Shade the Echidna. Now, I don't know if you
The
guys
most remembered BioWare original
one of my
character.
favorite things when we did the Sonic episode was trying to like just read the descriptions of these characters. So, Shade the Echidna, tough, disciplined, and somewhat noble figure. The polar opposite of Titty Fuck the Bat. Very loyal, very loyal. Trained in stealth and high-tech weaponry. So, I mean, that's why we all remember Shade.
So you're counting this.
We're not throwing any of it.
Hold on. So you're counting this, but I don't get to talk about the Archie comics at all.
This is a BioWare game.
I don't get to talk about Princess Sally Acorn.
Oh, you're talking about back to Sonic lore.
No,
dude, but
let's
this
not.
is this is a Sonic this is a Sonic game, so this is canon.
This is good.
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, I haven't played the game, but I'm thinking Shade is a bad guy, but is he or she
No,
bad or good?
Shade is a good girl.
Okay.
Yep.
She
But
had
is
bad
it- is it-
intentions or something.
Is it ambiguous?
fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
the fact
sorry.
that there was no romance options in this game does piss me off. Could you imagine like seducing Big the cat?
Dude, I'm going to get you pregnant.
Every day.
Ew.
Come over here, Big. I'll make you bigger.
You know they call me big.
You know, if I fill you
of my
up
belly,
enough
right?
tails, you're going to have 3 tails.
Whoa.
It's a whole new name to Cream the Rabbit.
Right.
Cream the rabbit. And then, no. Wait, what's your child's
Rated
name?
M for mature.
We have crossed the line. Yeah, rated M for mature.
Sonic.
The E ESRB are contacting us about
exactly.
Oh, fucking God.
We need a rating system for podcasts. Podcasts put into place. The kids are listening to some
They
violent
play my
filth.
voice saying, I'm going to get you pregnant on like the Senate floor.
We're coming to you live from a local school where a kid is talking about Titty Fuck the Bad.
And creaming the rabbit, whatever that means.
Joseph Lieberman's like,
rabbit.
this game is an abomination.
Joseph Lieberman comes back.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, Cream the Rabbit is actually the real name.
Oh, really?
Cream the
Yeah.
Rabbit is
Oh
the
my
name.
God.
And Cheese is the name of her Chow companion.
Cream was an optional character, though, and you actually
in, well,
have
no,
to
in Sonic
find.
Advance. It
No,
was-
I'm talking about in the Dark Brotherhood, where you have to avenge her parents who are brainwashing her brother with a robot. I'm just making shit up now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say what?
I was actually gonna turn to him and I'm gonna be like, that's true.
Is it?
I don't know.
We don't know. It might be. It did get the worst reviews BioWare had seen at the time. That
Yeah.
would be avenged, though.
It was for the DS. Let's put it
Andromeda.
out
By
there.
Andromeda, unfortunately.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. I thought it was received okay, but damn it. Sorry, Sonic.
Sorry, man.
Don't apologize for him.
Well, Sonic has had a rough history. Let's
I
admit.
guess.
Let's all-
He's kind of having a moment right now.
yeah,
though,
he's
so
he's on top of the world right
he had
now.
a moment 3 years ago. That's how long it's been since the good
Sonic
Sonic,
Boom?
game.
It's like the
Sonic
reconnaissance
Boom,
for Sonic the
Sonic
Hedgehog.
Boom.
The Sonic.
There has been no hide nor hair in 3 years. So let's, besides the fucking movie, so let's not say he's in the middle of a renaissance. That's a bit of an exaggeration.
sorry,
I would love
Dylan.
to have another Sonic Mania. I'll put that out there.
So there was a sequel being considered.
There was a sequel being considered, but EA put the kibosh on that.
Probably a good
They're
thing.
like, don't waste our fucking time.
And also because
Nope.
well,
if
also
you can
because,
make it in 2 months.
Right.
well, also because EA wasn't in the game of producing things.
game.
That's,
It's in the DLC, but on the
it's in the
disc.
it's in the DLC, but it's on it.
It's on the disc.
It's already on the disc.
Make sure
You
you
gotta pay $20 to unlock
prestige.
it. Yeah.
Wait, that's Call of Duty.
Let's
Buy
talk,
Doritos.
let's talk about one more game for this part one. Let's just skip ahead and talk about the Old Republic because I don't have any big feelings about this. Did anyone play the Old Republic? No.
Man,
Honestly, no, yeah.
I always wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And for all that I've heard, it's
I always
worth
wanted to
playing.
be an astronaut.
I hear it's
too.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted to be
Still
like
being supported to this day, I think, right?
believe so.
There's an
With no
update
expansions,
recently.
though.
No, yeah.
But it's still being supported.
Well, but
in
there's
terms
still
of, like,
there's still
patches
updates, yeah, and updates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. They wanted it to be like a World of Warcraft killer.
Yeah.
It was one of the most expensive games made at that time. They put a lot of effort into this.
Can I say what the problem with this game immediately? There was an MMO for Star Wars before this, and it was called Galaxies. And I think that soured a lot of people on the idea. I think that if Galaxies had not existed before this game would have done cuckoo bananas and would have absolutely dominated the market right away. The problem ends up being...
Yeah, you could be right.
Obvious. Well, it's obvious. It's a saturated market. And Galaxies, I'm going to say this, was a little bit more interesting. Because when you made a character, you couldn't just say, hey, I'm a Jedi. You had to have a random roll of a character. So there are only so many Jedis in the entire galaxy. You essentially had to basically get the random opportunity to be a Jedi.
You had to get the random roll, but could you know when you rolled initially, or did you have to wait until
It's
part
literally
of the game?
per key of the game, from what I understand.
Wow.
Interesting.
So when you open, when
That
you,
can make or break your.
so there are some
Yeah, if you're
characters
gonna
in
play
this
the game
game.
or
It's
not.
easy.
And they could also make someone buy 50 copies of the game to get one Jedi.
right, to get
key.
one
Don't
try,
I mean, don't quote me on that, but this is what I remember.
I'm quoting you on it.
Let's quote me on it. If I'm wrong, email at me at
Hairthedogcast@gmail.com.
I know it was really difficult to be, but I didn't know if it. Yeah.
No, you couldn't just be one.
Right.
I remember that specifically because
Yeah, it's fucked
I had a
up.
friend who bought the game and they started playing it. They're like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna select Jedi," and then it's just like smuggler, one thing, the other thing. He's like, "What the fuck?
Right.
Do I have
Otherwise
to buy
it-
something else?"
I guess that makes sense. Otherwise, the entire galaxy is going to be Jedi.
Well, so
Yeah.
What's interesting about it is you hear stories from the game where like a Jedi actually rolls into town and they're like fucking samurai from those old Kurosawa movies.
Seven Samurai.
sure.
Exactly. And it's just like, whoa, shit. Because if you gave people the option to be a Jedi, everyone would be a fucking Jedi.
It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, you have smugglers and stuff in the Old Republic, but most people were Jedi in that game.
So you did play it, or
I watched someone play it.
okay?
And
That
then
counts.
he told me this. This is literally secondhand information from me. It might be wrong. It might be right.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't care.
I mean,
it's right.
entertaining.
It's right.
Yeah.
But even if it's not, that makes a pretty good game.
I think the Old Republic followed the way most games, the arc where it's launched. It's a little rough around the edges, and then they come out with an expanded
Free to play.
They had
free-to-play
one
model,
expansion.
and then they had an expansion which like almost made it a single player kind of KOTOR-esque experience.
Even
and that's
Final
what I wanted
Fantasy
to jump
14
in.
has that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in and play that, and then I just I think I downloaded it and just never did.
This came out December 20th, 2011. So this, I think, was primarily Bioware Austin, which was going to be their online center, which at this point they have a lot of studios working on a lot of things. So who knows who's really making what decisions. But
Yeah.
it was a focused online attempt by Bioware. And, they had a good universe to play around in. And it was the fastest selling MMO at the time. It's made almost $1 billion, still getting updates. I think it's still successful, but I don't think it was what they hoped it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
The two biggest ones still are now WoW and 14.
Really?
14
I guess that
really
makes
is
sense.
one of the biggest ones.
14 makes money, dude.
Oh,
I've
did-
spent that money.
Oh, wow.
It's all
okay.
Dylan.
Actually, Dan
It's,
on our podcast plays 14 every so often, but yeah, and he gets amazed how much extra content there is there.
Sure.
They're releasing constantly. Even after the initial drop of an expansion goes out, you're going to get every 3 or 4 months, 7 main quests. And it's all still voice acted. It's astonishing.
Does anyone have any other thoughts about the games we talked about beforehand? Anything they'd want to say about where BioWare was, what they were up to?
No.
No, I think it was a good start for things to come.
For most of the games that we talked to, BioWare's definitely on the rise, I would say.
Yeah.
People are paying attention.
Once
to
you head
the games
into
that they're-
2007,
I think they laid the groundwork with a lot of narrative-driven games and the element of choice.
All the games that we talked about today or on this episode definitely laid the groundwork for their ultimate explosion.
I think it laid.
yeah.
I think it laid the groundwork for video games in general. I think a lot of this stuff you even see in games now, they all stem from this era of BioWare.
Absolutely.
Stoy, where can our listeners find you?
Well, I'm part of the podcast EXPcast. We're a video game podcast where, we talk about video games.
What?
Very cool.
Not. Yeah,
What
very
are
cool.
these?
That's kind of like our tagline. We're like, we're a
Now,
video
what
game
does
podcast.
EXP stand for?
Like that
Experience.
Pac-Man?
Yeah.
You talk about that Pac-Man.
Yeah, we talk about video games like Mario Brothers and
All I know is Namco.
we're
EXP
That's my
Podcast.
joke.
at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at EXPcast. We release episodes every Monday morning.
So Monday mornings,
Smart.
check them out.
Yeah.
Thursday mornings, check us out.
Yeah.
Tom, where can they find us?
Oh, they can find us on the internet. We are at hairofthedogcast@gmail.com. Please talk to us. Write in about anything, any corrections, anything you want to talk about. How was Bioware for you? You can find us on Twitter at HotDogcast.
Instagram,
Instagram,
and all the things.
Facebooks.
And let's not forget about our Patreon,
Yes, Dylan.
which we're currently trying to build. We got a lot of people rolling in. And if you want to,
We have a few more spots.
we have 2 more spots left in our range where you get to decide the topic for either a raw dog, a main cast, or the Troob.
Oh, the truth.
If you want to make Josh drink Malort and review it,
Oh, I have pictures
We're
of me
happy
drinking
to do
Malort
it.
just recently. Oh my God.
Well, maybe how
more
about
we-
Patreon? Make Josh drink something.
Yes, please do it.
That's right.
you
I
got
will
to
donate to your
subscribe.
Patreon. Just
You got to
for that.
subscribe $5 a month though, and you got to do it for more than 2 months.
Fine, I'll do
You agree
it.
to it. Okay, that's
I'll do it
that's
because
very
someone else needs to
funny.
feel my
That's
pain on
very
that one.
interesting.
We're part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Go to greenlitpodcast.com.
Like, review,
us.
subscribe.
Like, review, and subscribe. I think that covers pretty much
We're there every week for you.
all the bases.
We truly
Reach
are.
out to us on Facebook because we will respond and we will talk about whatever you want us to talk about.
I've got nothing going on. Well, I kind of do, but I'll still respond.
The Midwest Gaming Classic is still coming up as to when this episode is releasing. So you will be able to find the EXP cast roaming around there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll probably be carrying around a big sword like I did last year.
Awesome.
I bought the
You
blade.
guys-
I bought the
a
blade sword
broadsword?
last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from the movie.
Cool.
Yeah, from the movie Blade.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
was walking around with that, like carrying it with both arms like this. Like no one's taking my sword from me. So,
Right.
yeah. So if you see some guy roaming around on the showroom floor with a big sword, that's
Well, I think
probably
I'm
me.
There's going to be a
Scared.
lot of guys roaming around
Yeah.
with a big sword at the Midwest
Okay,
Gaming.
fair enough. All right.
Well, you're welcome to shack up at our booth.
Oh, I will for sure. Yeah, you were the guys. I remember I met you guys there last
That's
year,
where
and
we
I
met.
was like, I asked you guys, like, can we drink here? And you guys were like, yeah, sure, probably not.
No one
So I
told
pulled
us
out.
no.
I literally pulled out a hams from my backpack. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Hell yeah.
You know, most conventions, you bring your own alcohol and it'd be frowned on. But no, like, no one told us no yet. We're going to just
Well, I
fucking
think
go.
this is
is
you guys
Wisconsin.
paid for a
Yeah.
space, so
Yeah,
I think there's like leeway there.
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember Brian just walked in without a badge with a backpack of beer. He just walked all the way through everything.
All right.
Man.
We're just your friendly
We're just
neighborhood
kidding.
podcast about beer and video games. But if you're at MGC, come and talk to us. We'd love to get your feedback, shake your hand. Heck, if you want to buy me a beer, that's fine too.
Oh, yeah.
Or I'll just share a beer with you.
Only Brad. All I want is camaraderie from you.
The entire
Oh,
month of
okay.
April, we are discussing
Yeah.
between Dogcast and us everything Final Fantasy related. And
Expect
Josh
a lot
is
of
gonna
hot.
fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Expect a lot of hot goss from Josh.
We're going to lose Josh.
We're
but,
going to be
you know,
back.
It's okay.
It might be after the Final Fantasy month for the second half of this episode where we talk about the best of BioWare and the fall of BioWare.
Yeah. We got some.
Yeah.
It was the best of times and worst of times
Yeah.
kind of shit coming up. So
We're also going to talk about the hot babes you can romance.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, dude. Erdnot Rex.
Pretty much, dude.
Shepherd. All right. Thanks for checking us out. Yeah, like and subscribe. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for checking us out. Bye.
Bye.